friends. Hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello, hi, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about Gabbie Hannah. I am no stranger to talking about Gabbie Hannah on the internet. My most viewed videos, some of them are talking about her, but I haven't made a video on Gabbie in a while, and there's a lot of reasons for that we're going to get into. The reason I haven't spoken about Gabbie in so long is because, number one, a lot of the stuff that she was going through seemed like she was going through sort of a mental health decline, and I in no way wanted to participate in making that decline worse, because at the end of the day, despite all of the things that she has done that I vehemently disagree with, I still think she's a human being who deserves to get help and get treatment and be okay. I think at a certain point, and I think we hit this point with Gabbie, internet drama and internet issues shouldn't be affecting a real life person to the point that I think it was affecting Gabbie. So I didn't want to talk about a lot of the stuff that happened with her, and there's some stuff I'm still not going to go into great detail on, just out of respect for her mental health. I don't think it's worthwhile to like dig up old stuff. But the reason I wanted to talk about her now is because I feel like some of her views lately have been just problematic and just something that I think we need to be aware of. Gabbie has gone on and on in a lot of videos about how she has changed and she has this new lease on life. She is now a born-again Christian, and while there's nothing wrong with that, I do think the way that she talks about being a born-again Christian and the way that she talks just in general tends to be very demeaning to those who are not born-again Christians. And I do have to question, sort of, is the behavior that she is displaying on that line now really that much different than the behavior she was displaying before? Like, has she really changed and evolved as much as she says she has? Or is it sort of the same thing but a different narrative around it? This video is in no way meant to send Gabbie any sort of hate or anything. I don't want anyone to watch this video and go comment on her video like, da-da-da, you suck. That's not what this video is for. I think it's more a conversation not only around Gabbie, but just around how religion on social media can work in general. I know this is a little bit of a dicier topic. I think it's really important to have, and I also think it's important to, now that Gabbie does seem to be in a better mental headspace, holding her accountable for a lot of the things that have happened in the past that she still has not apologized for or said anything about. I just think that's important to do. I don't know, especially now that she's trying to sort of rebuild her social media presence. I just think it's important to be like, hey, you're sliding back into these old ways and things that you're saying you're not doing, but you are doing. So let's just talk about it. I don't know. You guys know the tea. I'm not trying to over-explain this video right off the bat. I think I'm just a little bit nervous about it because I don't want it to be seen as kicking someone while they're down. That's why I waited so long to make the video. I never want to kick someone when they're at a very low place in life. That's never my intention. So I think that that's sort of the reason I'm like, I don't want to kick her while she's down. I waited a really long time to make this video, but these are just behaviors and patterns that I'm seeing online right now that I think is important to talk about for the sake of accountability. So I hope that makes sense. And if you're interested in any of that, then keep watching. I am going to do a brief recap on Gabbie. I'm going to timestamp this video, so if you don't want to hear any of this, that's fine. I know I've made multiple evolution ofs of Gabbie Hannah, so you can go watch those as well. If you want like the entire backstory in detail, I've made videos about it. I'll link them down below so you guys can go watch them if you're interested. But this is like the abridged version of Gabbie. So Gabbie is an internet personality, a singer-songwriter, author, and now a fitness instructor. She came up sort of on the internet in the Vine world. She started uploading her 7-second sketches onto Vine and gained a lot of popularity on there, gaining over 5 million followers on the app. And when Vine died, she switched over to YouTube in 2014 with her YouTube channel called The Gabbie Show, which interestingly she changed to Gabbie Hannah back in 2017, but in 2021 changed it back to The Gabbie Show. So now she's The Gabbie Show again. I'm gonna call her Gabbie Hannah. She became very, very popular on the internet for her story times. Back in, I would say, 2016, 2017, story times were a huge thing on YouTube. I could do a whole deep dive into story times and how monetizing and dramatizing your life gave like hundreds of undeserving people a platform, but anyway, she became really popular in that era of YouTube, and people found her incredibly relatable. That was Gabbie's definitely biggest draw to people, is that people could see themselves in her. Now, despite being incredibly liked on the internet, behind the scenes, Gabbie was not very well liked amongst other creators. A lot of creators discussed having a ton of issues with her. Her first big scandal happened with Rice Gum, where he smashed her phone, and she said he punched her. He said he didn't. That was a whole thing, which I'm still on Gabbie's side about that. Race Scum sucks. But the list goes on. She's gotten into drama with basically every YouTuber that she's ever collaborated with or once had a friendship with, it kind of seems like. And as these controversies were happening, Gabbie would like take time off the internet and then come back and then go on these rants and then leave again and then come back. And it was sort of this pattern of behavior and this cycle that was happening for a while, where she would do these really fucked up things and then just leave the internet for a few months and then come back like nothing had happened. I really want to talk about what happened in August of 2022 because this was a really scary thing that was happening. I was watching it in real time as it was happening, like minute by minute, and it was actually genuinely terrifying. Gabbie was posting hundreds of videos on her TikTok and social media, basically that were just all over the place, but included her saying that she was the second coming of Jesus, and basically that she let a fan who was also a stranger into her home. He came to her house pretending that he had to go to the bathroom and then tried to get close to Gabbie as a way to get her to take her medication, but instead she found out that it was just a fan or someone who was trying to mess with her and who was videotaping inside of her home. And so she pretty violently, not violently like physically, aggressively kicked him out, rightfully so. That guy is fucked in the head. I have no idea how, I'm trying to think of not mean words to say, you have to be to take a person who's obviously going through a psychotic break and go into their home and try to use it for content. I think that's sickening, and I think the way that she was used for content during that time was sickening. It was so obvious she needed severe emotional help and wasn't getting it. All of the comments were basically telling her that she needed to get help, and actually welfare services and the police were called multiple times to Gabbie's home. There was a ton of crisis calls because people were genuinely concerned about her mental state and mental well-being because of all these videos. I never talked about this sort of situation that happened, and I don't necessarily think it was the right call to talk about it, because even though she was saying some very controversial and offensive things, I think that, again, I'm going to talk about this a lot in this video, but you get to a point where the internet is just the internet and a person is a person, and you have to understand that a person is at a breaking point, and that instead of sensationalizing that person needs help. And I think that's where Gabbie was at, and she's talked very openly about the fact that that's where she was at when all of this happened, that she was in this sort of psychological torment. So all of this happened, and it left people feeling very, very worried about her. And Gabbie's been super honest with her mental health struggles on the internet. She's talked about her OCD, her ADHD, her anxiety. There have been hundreds of people who have speculated about Gabbie's mental health and her possible mental illnesses. I will not be one of those people. I am not one of her doctors, but there's a lot of speculation about her mental health struggles. And I think that just comes from, unfortunately, I don't think that's right, but I think it's unfortunate. It's unfortunately a side effect of when you put so much of yourself online. People are going to speculate and they're going to talk and try to figure out like what's wrong and be like internet doctors. In February of 2023, Gabbie took her longest break off of social media. She was gone from February until March of 2024. On the Sauna Sessions podcast, I discussed her choices to step away from mental health. I'm going to read you an exact quote that I have here from that. It says, "I'm just working up the strength to actually delete, but I can't figure out if that's what I'm supposed to do or not, specifically TikTok, because I feel like TikTok is just a cesspool of the worst of the worst." And honestly, I understand and relate to that so heavily. I think especially because I took my own social media break, I can completely empathize and understand when your mental health is just going fucking through it. You don't want to be online and you don't want to be on a platform. And I think her taking this break, like, good for you. I think she needed this break. It was very evident that whatever was happening on the internet was not only not good for her, but was not good for the people that were watching and following her, because they were being hurt time and time and time again, over and over and over again by all of her actions. Now, it seems since she really took a break off of social media and left the internet, Gabbie has moved back to her hometown of Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and is now a fitness instructor at the local YMCA, which I actually think is fantastic. Like, good for you, girl. She's always had a love and passion for fitness, so I'm like, absolutely pop off. According to the YMCA Facebook, she teaches Zumba, ballet body, and strength and breath training. This sort of information became viral on TikTok last year because Gabbie posted a TikTok promoting the YMCA dance classes that she was teaching, and that's how people found out that that's what she was doing now. I would say when this video went viral, the internet's reaction to this was incredibly positive. Like, she had a ton of people just being very supportive of her leaving the internet, being a fitness instructor, doing her thing. Like, I would say that she had the most positive reaction to this that she's had online in years. And I do happen to wonder if that positive social media reaction was something that contributed to her deciding to come back to social media, because she had been used to getting so much hate, basically. That's the nice way of putting it. She was getting a lot of hate, rightfully so, I think, in my opinion. There was a lot of things she said that were very damaging and very fucked up. For the first time, this YMCA video was getting a lot of love and a lot of praise, and people were just saying she looks healthier, she looks happier. People were like genuinely happy for her. And I think that's an interesting point I want to touch on really fast just about Gabbie Hannah. I think there's a lot of conversation around her, obviously, and I think people wonder why she's so fascinating. I think the reason she's so fascinating is because despite everything, despite all of it, I think people talk about her so much because they're like secretly almost rooting for her. I don't think people want to see her be in this much pain. I don't think people want to see her lashing out. I don't think people want to know her as this person who was so like manipulative and vindictive behind the scenes, because a lot of people grew up with her. A lot of people watched her content as a comfort creator for years. So it makes sense that people have this sort of love for her and this admiration for her, and even though they might be angry, they want her to succeed and want her to be happy and want her to be a better person. So it's like, even though there's all this criticism, there is still this camp of people who are like, we want her to just be okay. Like, that's all people want from her. And I think that's really interesting. A lot of creators, especially ones who leave or leave and come back or have been this level of canceled the way that Gabbie has, a lot of them, you don't see that sort of same support that they get. You don't see people being happy for them for doing better. But with Gabbie, when she is doing better, people are genuinely happy for her. They want her to be living her best life. They want her to not be stuck in this sort of cycle of drama. It seems like this cycle of drama that happens is kind of Gabbie's own creation. She leaves social media, does really well, like has this new job, has this new career setup, is doing great. She gets a positive feedback from that online, and then she's like, oh, this means I should come back. And it's like, no, girl, you're getting that positive feedback because you're not back, because it's not good for you. In my opinion, I don't think it's good for her to be online at all. Now, when Gabbie first started coming back to the internet in March of 2024, her content was actually, I would say, positive for the most part. I would say her biggest positive part of her content was that she made videos about being confident in herself. In one TikTok, she told a story about how she was in a cosmetic surgeon's office and a mother and daughter came up to her thanking her for getting a nose job because it made the daughter want to get a nose job. And she talked about how horrible that felt because she thought the girl had a beautiful nose, and just saying that she wished she had never promoted things that made people feel like they needed to change themselves, and that she really regrets those things. And I think that's a really beautiful message and really beautiful growth, honestly. She also started acknowledging the dangers of cosmetic surgery, which was something she never had done previously, and basically said she felt terrible that she was putting this young girl at risk. So I think there was some real sort of growth and reflection happening during this time period where she was learning like, hey, these things I used to say and do on the internet just don't align with me anymore. And I think that was positive. However, there was a more negative undertone to a lot of her content, and that was sort of her finding Christianity. I want to say this right off the bat. I'm not a religious person, but I am a spiritual person. I'm not Christian. This video is by no means bashing on Christianity or bashing on any religion. Really what I want to talk about is the way that Gabbie weaponizes religion as a way to put other people down and demean other people. So if you're a Christian, I'm not sitting here being like, you suck. Like, I'm not saying that, okay? This has nothing to do with that. This is purely how she uses religion as a weapon. Gabbie posts a lot of content on her TikToks about Christianity. She claims that Christianity has put her on a new path of righteousness and wants to become a better version of herself. And again, there's nothing wrong with being Christian or a born-again Christian, absolutely nothing wrong with it. But Gabbie has been using it to be hateful, in my opinion. I would argue that Gabbie is sort of part of this non-religious creator to overly religious creator pipeline that we've seen on social media, where people who had sort of a canceled past and were very unwell liked come back to the internet and are like, well, I found Jesus now, so there's nothing you can do to criticize me. And that's a really dangerous mindset to have and very dangerous rhetoric to be putting out. She's now catering to a much more conservative evangelical audience. A quote specifically from one of her TikToks that I'm gonna read is that it says God disciplines his children and he reprimands the ones that he loves. So those of us who are chosen and called by God to follow God, God doesn't let us walk in a way that's going to destroy our soul. So basically saying, I can do whatever because God is with me and he's following my soul and he would never let me do anything that's bad. That's how I interpreted that. Which I get that God and the presence of faith can be very comforting to a lot of people and can bring a lot of safety to a lot of people, and it does to me as well. But she basically blames a lot of her past behavior on not being godly and not the fact that it was incredibly morally reprehensible. It's just her being like, well, I wasn't following a godly path back then and now I am, so now that's what makes me a better person. I think that this is something that a lot of people have called out and something I'm going to call out right now. You don't get to use your religious experiences now and your religious beliefs now as a way to sort of not take accountability for anything you did in your past. That's not how this works. You don't just get to be like, well, I was with Satan back then, so that's why I'm like that. No, that's not what that means. You were doing things and you did those things still. Part of growing and changing, if you're a person who needs to do that, which all of us need to grow and change in our own ways. Gabbie needed to grow and change in her own ways, and part of doing that is taking accountability that you were the one who did those things in the first place, and then actually changing your behavior so you don't do them again. It doesn't seem like this is something that Gabbie is actively doing based on the way she talks about her past on social media. There's also the way that she speaks about modesty, which I find to be inherently problematic. I don't think that modesty is something that we should be using as a way to shame others, specifically women. Gabbie specifically targets women in her videos to shame them for dressing immodestly. I am dressed immodestly today. I would not be approved. This outfit would not be Gabbie Show approved. Any person can dress how they would like to dress, but to shame others and tell others that they are not with God if they dress a certain way, I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's right, and I don't think with as large of a platform as she has, she should be spewing that sort of hateful content. Like, I wear crop tops all the time. This is a crop top. I love crop tops. I would never tell someone else that if they weren't wearing one, that made them lame or that made them like a prude. I would never say that because it's your body and you're allowed to wear whatever you want and express yourself the way that you want. It's interesting to me that when she talks about these things, she talks about them from the perspective of women shouldn't be enticing men. Women shouldn't be dressing this way because it's provocative to boys, specifically teenage boys, which is like a really weird way to go about this. But she's like, women shouldn't dress this way and women should cover themselves up because we shouldn't be enticing men. It's never men shouldn't be viewing women in such a sexual way that you can't wear a crop top without a man staring at you or ogling you or catcalling you. It should be that, not women shouldn't dress that way and then those things won't happen and then men won't act that way. I think this line of thought and the way that she discusses it is just inherently so problematic. I don't understand this logic. She even called out Megan Thee Stallion for not just how she dressed, but also for a photo that she uses for her Apple and Spotify. She basically says that Megan Thee Stallion's outfits are not appropriate for children. I've listened to very few Megan Thee Stallion songs, but the ones I have heard, I've actually seen her in concert. Fun fact. She was great. I didn't know any of the songs, but she was great. But I've seen her in concert. There was not a child in the crowd. She's not marketed towards children. It's not like she's a child content creator who is making content that is not for children, kind of like what Gabbie was, who was a content creator for children who made incredibly inappropriate videos for her child audience. And also her calling out Megan Thee Stallion as just one of the many things that was very hypocritical about her YouTube apology video, which I'm gonna start talking about in a minute. Promise. But I think that this is super interesting. In her YouTube apology video, Gabbie specifically talked about how she used to be and how before she was finding God, she was mean to other people and would call out other people, and specifically mentioned that she would call out celebrities, how wrong that was, but she literally did it like a month prior on her TikTok. She was calling out Megan Thee Stallion. So again, it poses this question of like, have you changed, or are you just using far-right evangelical views to get views on TikTok now? That's my question. I do want to talk about Rachel Oates for a second. If you don't know who Rachel Oates is, she's a fantastic booktuber here on YouTube. She made videos commenting and critiquing on Gabbie Hannah's book, her poetry books, that went incredibly viral, and her and Gabbie had a pretty public falling out, basically. Not even falling out because they were never friends, but they had a very public feud because Gabbie has always been incredibly nasty towards Rachel for giving her honest opinions about the book and giving her honest feedbacks. I'd also like to point out that I've always liked Rachel's critiques and commentary because it's coming from a place of true literary knowledge. Like, she's not just like, oh, this poem sucked. Like, she gives the in-depth reason of why something could have been better instead of just being like, I didn't like it. So I've always found her critiques to be the most valid, honestly, out of most people. Like, if I were to review a poetry book, I'd just be like, rhyming. Like, she knows the reasons that she knows a reason for a poetry to be either lazy or not lazy, and I've always found her critique super interesting because of that. But in April of 2024, a video was posted of Gabbie speaking at Oxford University about her experiences on social media, and one of the things that she said during that interview really rubbed people the wrong way and was very clearly about Rachel Oates. The quote is, yeah, it is the thing with me that I was just like, the first 2 or 3 years it was out, everybody was just like really digging it and it was fine. But then it kind of became trendy to use my name, and then like one original girl who came viral, Rachel. The actual critiques don't bother me that much because this is going to sound bitchy, but whatever. You have to be careful who you take your opinion from. You can say you don't mind my book, or you can like critique my literary style or whatever it is, but I don't think you're interesting or intelligent or creative or artistic, so why the hell would I take your opinion? You're a loser. Sorry, your opinion is nothing to me. Rachel's comment is actually the top comment on that video and just says, so disappointing. Just 2 months ago, I was publicly forgiving and praising her for changing and maturing, and then she slips back to this. Such a shame to see. And I think that shame to see is like the perfect way to put a lot of things with Gabbie. It's so sad because you think she's making all these strides and you think she's coming forward and you think she's like progressing in a positive way because outwardly it does seem that way. But then these old sort of tendencies that she has, like to call people losers because they disagree with her or didn't like her book. It's like, why do you need to do that? Why do you have to throw in digs every chance you can possibly get to belittle or demean someone that disagrees with you? Why is this pattern of behavior continuing? I really want to get to kind of the reason I wanted to make this video, which was that a couple months ago, Gabbie posted a YouTube apology video on her like actual YouTube page. I hated this apology video. I'm so sorry. I really, really, really did not like it. I know that some of the top comments were positive. For example, Joey Graceffa, who is someone that Gabbie had very public beef with for a while back in the day, commented on it and said, thank you, Gabbie. I'm happy to see you're in a better place now. And I guess that's the thing about this apology video. It does seem like Gabbie is in a better place, but I do take issue with a lot of the things she was saying, and I'm going to expand on that. So she uploaded the video. It was called A Long Overdue Apology. In the video, she basically says that it's her 10-year anniversary on YouTube and that she's really been reflecting on the past decade because it's been a decade on the internet. Gabbie in this video never apologized to a single person or even like alluded to a single person, but she really apologized to groups of people in this video. She kind of grouped everyone together. She apologized to the people who worked on projects with her. She did point out that MTV and YouTube Originals were 2 companies that she had hurt by working with her. She basically said she had been given opportunities she had no business being given. I do kind of agree, given the on-set behavior that it's been come out that she had. She also apologized to people that she had had bad interactions with. Very vague, covers anyone, I guess. I guess I could be included in that, like anyone who had a bad interaction with her. And she also apologized for the story times that she used to make and how she used to punch down on creators, and even said that these story times were a lot of the reason that she actually deleted a lot of these videos. And she also apologized to her fans for being inconsistent, lying, breaking promises, and just in general being a bad role model. At the end of the video, she does like a very long prayer for September 11th. So that was the video. A lot of people criticized Gabbie in the comments of this video because they said she was laughing too much in the video. I think a lot of that was probably just nervousness. I can completely understand laughing when you're nervous. I do that too. So I'm not going to comment on that, but I do just want to comment the lack of actual accountability that happened. The breakdown that happened in 2022, while there was a mental health reason for all of those things happening, that doesn't mean she didn't get online and basically say racist, homophobic, hateful just speech that she was spewing for days on TikTok. I think to not address that fully and not own up to that after having a decade, you said, to reflect on everything you've done on the internet, like, I think this could have been such a beautiful apology to everything that's happened and everyone she's hurt. And almost honestly, and this is not meant in a mean way, but I really think this should have been like her last video that she posted and just gotten off social media. I say that not out of even malice or hatred for her. I say that because it just seems so toxic for her. It's like she can't help herself but to take punches at people or jabs at people or demean people or demoralize them when she's on the internet. It gives her this like kind of funny play on words, but it gives her almost this like God complex where she thinks that her opinion is the best opinion and no, she won't listen to anyone else's. Gabbie's apology wasn't a real apology because it wasn't addressed to anyone. It was just her saying vaguely, I'm sorry for all of these things, and then being like, and I found God now and I've changed now. But have you changed? Because we just pointed out a few different examples where you haven't changed at all. You're still having this same sort of behavior. You're still doing these things. I don't think Gabbie Hannah has changed as much as she would like us to believe that she's changed, and that actually like breaks my heart. That actually makes me sad because again, there is something about Gabbie, and I feel it too, where all I want is the best for her. I like really want her to get offline and just live a fulfilled life off the internet. I don't think she's this like evil human being incapable of good. I think she has good in her. I think she has intentions that are pure. I don't think she's meaning to even do all of this stuff. I think she just can't help herself on social media by not demeaning others. And I don't know how she fixes that. I don't know how many times you can apologize. I don't know how many times you can come back. Even this apology video, I mean, it got 100,000 views. Like, this video will probably get more views than her apology video. Watch, it gets like no views. Watch this video, tanks. But seriously, like, this video will probably get more views than her apology video got because the interest in Gabbie Hannah is there, but I think people are just sick of hearing it from the horse's mouth. We've just heard it time and time again about changing, but the behavior just never reflects that. And now she's just using this new evangelical Christian route in order to perpetuate hatred, and I'm just sick of it. Like, I didn't want to do this video for so long, and I stopped myself from doing it for so long because I never want to seem like I'm attacking someone who's really that down. But at this point, if she's stable enough to be posting all these things on the internet and being demeaning to her fans yet again and posting dangerous rhetoric online yet again, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna call it out because the apology wasn't shit. Sorry, that apology video meant nothing. And on top of that, your behavior now is still exactly the same as it was before. It's now just hidden under a guise of Christianity. And that's not right either. Anyway, that's going to be it for me on the Gabbie Hannah video. That's going to be it for me today on this whole topic. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it was interesting for you. Let me know what you think about Gabbie down below. Am I being too hard on her? Be honest. Like, am I being too harsh on her? Because I don't think I am, but then part of me is like, am I just harping? Like, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. And yeah, I love you guys so much. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just like, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're here watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My social media and my social justice spotlight will be linked down below. And yeah, I think that's everything from me. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! She's gonna be so pissed about this top if she sees this video.